And we are back with the final segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this segment, I'm just going to give some predictions, who I think is going to win in the quarterfinals and the matchups. And I might go into, the matchups going into, the future, who's going to win in the semifinals, and then who's going to get the gold, and who's going to get the silver, who's going to get the third place, because there is another matchup for, third place, whoever, I believe it's the losers of the the losers of the semifinals, they play against each other to fight to see, who gets third place. Now, that's, honestly, that's, the worst, I think that's the worst game you could play, in my opinion, just fighting for third place, that just irks me, playing a game after, the winners, they win, and then you have to play for third place, that rubs me such a wrong way. But aside from that, who am I to judge? I'm sure that means a lot for so many other countries, but I guess as an American, I am a little bit spoiled, and I'm used to, the United States always winning gold 9 out of 10 times. Now, obviously, I didn't, while I was born, when the United States, they had to settle for bronze, I wasn't, obviously, into the NBA because I was, 1 year old. So, aside from that, that was, the one time that I've ever seen the United States lose in, the Olympics or in FIBA. And that's not counting when the United States, they lost in the FIBA tournament when they didn't even have the best players in the United States. The entire reason why this lineup has even been created in the first place was because of our downfall in the FIBA basketball. And I'm not even going to lie to you. No, I wasn't surprised that this team was able to lose, because it wasn't the best players on the team, and it wasn't the best players in the NBA, and it wasn't the best American players in the NBA, in that FIBA tournament. So I don't understand why we don't send teams like this constantly. I remember when it used to be an honor to represent your country. Now it's just meh. Am I the only one that feels that way? Let me know in the comments if I'm the only one that feels that way. But I feel like the representing your country, at least as an NBA player, is sort of just meh. Not all that. Yeah, whatever. I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. I give props to Kevin Durant for wanting to play in every single Olympic and FIBA tournament that there is. I give props to him on that completely, because he just wants to hoop, and he loves representing his country. I cannot hate on him for that. Now, I can hate on him for his decision with Golden State, but aside from that, I cannot despise someone who likes their playing these kinds of games, because if I was a basketball player, I would love to just constantly represent my country, and I would love to play in these kinds of games because it's basketball. You just hoop. But aside from that, the first game, as I mentioned before, it's going to be between Germany and Greece. So I think Germany is easily going to beat the Greek team by a considerable amount. Again, given how dominant Giannis is, it's definitely possible that Giannis can will this team into the next round. I just don't see that happening. Now, the only reason why I think that is possible is because they were able to beat Australia, that was loaded with NBA talent. And they had more NBA talented players than than the German team. So, with all of that in mind, I think that the matchup is going to be, it's going to be pretty interesting, but Germany, they should easily win. It shouldn't even be a contest on whether or not they win. I really think that this is just going to be, they're going to wipe the floor with this team. And if they don't, then that's not going to look good for them. But again, Germany, they are a very talented team, and they do have, while I said that they don't have as much NBA talent as Australia, they do have NBA talent, and that's something that should not be underestimated. So next on the list is Serbia against Australia. Now, again, Serbia, they don't have as much NBA talent as Australia does, but they do have NBA talent, and they arguably have one of the best centers to ever live in Nikola Jokic. And I said arguably. Like, I didn't say he was the best. I said arguably. And, I mean, Jokic, while he hasn't really been like a triple-double machine as he usually is, like, in the NBA, he still is a very competent player, and he still is very valuable for the Serbian team. Could totally see him going off. Could also see Bogdan go off as well. And really, I think this is going to be a pretty close game, but I do think I really want to say Australia is going to win, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't understand. I think it might just be because like they recently lost to Greece, who only had Giannis. And if they were struggling to guard Giannis, I can only imagine how much they're going to struggle to guard Jokic. But that's just me. And again, Giannis didn't even play that well, and Greece was still able to win, despite the fact that they didn't have NBA talent. Now, maybe they were going into the Greek game, like the Greece team, and they thought, oh, it's just Giannis. We don't got to worry about anything. And they all of a sudden had a great game. I don't know. I feel like the pressure is on for Australia, and I don't know if they have enough players to really meet that moment. So I really want to go with Australia, but I'm going to have to go with Serbia in this one. So next, the United States and Brazil. Easily the United States. Next is the final game on the... I know I just skimmed over, the United States and the Brazil game and, the final game of Tuesday. But I mean, seriously, that's going to be an easy win. That's going to be an easy win for the United States. I don't see the United States losing. If they lose, oh my lord, the Twitter is going to be rolling. Noah Lyles is going to be rolling. If they don't win by 20, everyone is going to be rolling. Like, the pressure for the United States, it is a lot. There is a lot of pressure, but they're just too good. I think they're too good to fail. This is like, Avengers. Like, I'm not going to finish that because I don't want to get copyright strike, but, they're the Avengers. That's what you call them. But aside from that, Canada and France, arguably going to be the game of the day, and I'm definitely going to tune into that game, and I'm going to watch it live. So if you, in the next segment tomorrow, if you guys see me looking over there, that means I'm looking at my TV, and I'm looking at the matchups. I think this game is going to be the game of the week, could be the game of the day. I think it's going to be great. Now, if France loses, this is going to be a really huge upset, in my opinion, mainly because France has home field advantage. They're going to lose. They could lose with home field advantage, and I expect Shai to go off in this game. I don't know why. I just expect him to go off, and my money's on Canada. Now, I'm also saying this because I hope that the United States doesn't have to worry about facing France in the finals. But aside from that, I do think if it wasn't for France and their recent struggles against Germany, as well as their recent struggles against Japan, the second worst team in the entire standings, I would have picked France. But because they lost in those previous few games, I have my money on Canada. And I think that Canada has aside from the NBA, they have the second most, and they have the most NBA talent, period, on this roster. And one of the things that should be noted is that Jamal Murray has not been playing well at all in this Canadian team. So that might come back to bite them in this matchup, but I really do think that Canada has the best chances. But that's just me. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of these matchups and what game are you excited for the most. But aside from that, we are out of time for this podcast. Therefore, that is the end of this show. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. As usual, please remember to use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker on every show segment. That is gsmcpodcast.net. It really helps the show. It makes it much more interactive between myself and you guys. That is all I have for you guys today on this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit.